The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want their weapons.
You have to wake yourself up.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
Progress. Do you think we've made progress in the past 50 years, 60 years, 70 years? A lot of people think that we're, eons ahead of where we were. We live in a post-nuclear age. And it's really not the truth at all. It couldn't be anything further. In fact, when you talk to people about individualized aspects, certain things, people that are into them realize that we've gone backwards in a lot of ways, in everything. Well, it used to be common knowledge that people could hear voices. Voices could be sent to the sinus cavities, the skull, the inner ear, pretty easily. People used to talk about that stuff all the time. And I can't play you the video, but what I am going to do is play you the audio that I've condensed down into a more palatable version of Lucille Ball during an interview in 1974. I want you to listen to this. It's only a little over 2 minutes long, and this is very important. Check this out.
There's a story you once told, and it had to do with World War II. And you were once...
I know the one about the dentist.
Yes.
Well, it's true. To make it short, I had some dental work to be done. They put in temporary fillings. Mm-hmm. And I had never had it done before, And I went to work that day, and I got home very late. It was about 1:15. And I was driving alone. I had 35 miles to drive, and it wasn't any fun. It was just a normal night. I wasn't frightened or anything. I was just driving along, and a road that I'd taken many times. And all of a sudden, I heard music. But I mean, with a great beat, And I looked down to turn off my radio, and it wasn't on. And I turned around and looked to see if there's anyone behind me. And the music was getting louder and louder and louder, and I realized it was in my mouth. And it was beating in my ears. I could hear the tune and everything. I recognized the tune. And then it started to fade out.
Yeah.
And I thought, what the hell was that, What could it possibly be? And I didn't know what it was. So the next day I mentioned it at the studio to Buster Keaton. And he said, what street were you on, Moore Park? And I said, yes. He said, you went by the radio station. You picked it up. Well, you got any fillings? I said, yes. He said, you picked it up in your teeth. Well, I could hardly wait to go by there again. And I didn't go by at the same time of night, so nothing happened. There was no music playing, but I could hardly wait.
Call in a request.
Right. But about 5 nights later, because I had to wait, a couple of weeks for those teeth that were getting fixed, I was going up another street, almost home, and I was passing 4 vacant lots. And as I went by there, I heard, and I'm picking it up on my teeth. I stopped the car. Then I looked around, in the Morse code, like. And I backed the car up, and it got stronger and stronger, and I kept on backing it up until it really got strong, and my whole jaw was vibrating, like this. And then I got the hell out of there. I went boom, like this, because it was very late. Honest to God.
Is that a great story?
So Lucille Ball tells a story about hearing noises, voices, Morse code type signals in her skull, and gets a roaring applause in 1974. Now, if she were to tell the same story, they would have headlines saying, Lucille Ball has mental breakdown on television. Lucille Ball loses her mind and goes crazy on television. She hears noises and voices and weaves conspiracy theories on television. Do you understand that we are going backwards? This used to be common knowledge. Some guy out of the blue just goes, oh yeah, it's echoing through your skull. And now the media has everybody convinced that if you even talk about this kind of stuff, you're crazy unless you work for the government and you hear ringing in your ear for 30 seconds and cry like a baby about it. Those people can fuck off. That whole Havana thing, please, man. There are people that have been dealing with this for years, decades, and they're ignored, pushed to the side. But it was common knowledge, and people just talked about it to roaring applause. It's just amazing how far we've gone backwards. You heard her say that she heard Morse code type signals in her skull. While I was doing forensic audio a long time ago, I found Morse code that would pop up every 26 to 29 minutes. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it would loop, and it would play this Morse code at the end every time for hours and hours. And within this V2K signal, the Morse code, I isolated it and I put it into a translator, and it said Henry Ford Wyandotte, which is a hospital, okay? So as soon as I released this information, people came out right away and said, that's not Morse code, and that's not saying Henry Ford Wyandotte. You don't know what you're talking about. It was bizarre. I want you to hear this. This was the original one when I found it down in the signal. I'm going to play it once or twice. Check it out. This was an open air recorder. I'm not recording radio signals. I'm recording signals that are entering my house. Listen again. Now this is the signal isolated. I said it said Henry Ford Wyandotte. People said, no, it doesn't. Right away, damage control. That's it, isolated. Next, what I did today, again, to prove this, is I went to a Morse code generator. And then what I did was typed in Henry Ford Wyandotte. All right? So listen to this Morse code again. This is what I picked up. And it repeats. Now, here's the Morse code I created. It's identical. You ready? It was Henry Ford Wyandotte that I put in. Now we're going to go back. It is identical to the original. It's just a little cleaner. So when someone says that's not Morse code and it doesn't say Henry Ford Wyandotte, they can fuck off. Is there a reason why a hospital would be putting out Morse code? Unless they were identifying where a signal was coming from or who was doing the testing. It almost seems ridiculous that they would use Morse code, but that is what it said. That is what it says. And after recreating it with a Morse code generator, that is 100% the same thing. Here's an article, How Lucille Ball Heard Spies Through Her Dental Fillings. Blah, 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 blah. Same thing. Lucy isn't alone. Others have reported the phenomena. Here, in 1961, a 12-year-old Chicago boy had a missing front tooth replaced with a cap held in place via a brass wire. Soon after, he began hearing music in his head while outside. He never heard an announcer or other cues to identify the radio station. That's strange. Think about that. The phenomena stopped a year or so later when another dentist fitted him with a cap that had no wire attachment. In 1947, a woman in Chicago, again, heard radio signals for about 10 minutes while she rode a train from Cleveland to Rhode Island. That doesn't make sense. So a woman from Chicago, okay, that would be a woman from Chicago heard radio signals for 10 minutes on a train from Cleveland to Rhode Island. She heard commercials and an announcer's voice, but not clearly enough to identify the station. She did have silver tooth fillings, but could not recall if any of them had just been placed prior to her trip. So what happens? What do? They call in Mythbusters. That's what this goes to. It talks about Adam Savage. Adam Savage and the Mythbusters busted it. Dude, that guy needs to go make matzo balls or whatever. He is a hack job. Really? He busted it? So all these people report it. This dimwit couldn't recreate it, so they deem it busted. That's how they operate. So if Adam Savage, the most brilliant man in the universe, can't do it, then it's not possible. That's awesome. Because I can pick up the signals with a $15 recorder and show you all day. But Adam Savage says it isn't possible. Regardless of what Adam Matzo Ball Savage has to say about this, its history tells you that AM signals have a way of getting into the human skull. It could be a sideband of an AM radio signal coupled with HARP type technology. They could have been using AM radio signals before and still are using them for one arm of this, but using HARP type signals, ELF, that goes right through the earth, right through anything, so that once someone is entrained and sensitized to this, they can't get away from it. Rich people count their pennies. Everything counts. And people don't realize how much of an effect this type of stuff has on the population for subverting the psychiatric industry, the medical industry, for getting agendas passed. For those of you that don't know, every single one of Schmooters has heard this technology. Even Tamerlan from the Boston Marathon, he had 3 voices that constantly put him down and attacked him, and had numerous visits from the FBI long before any of this crap happened with him. So my point is that this adds up, and people don't realize it. If you hit 1 million people with this technology and only half get a diagnosis from it, that's 500,000 people that have received a false diagnosis. If you have a grudge against a certain group of people and you're driving them out of their houses and getting them psychiatric diagnosis, it adds up. That's what people don't realize. It all adds up. So I said in my last video that this is being pulsed in A minor, and the drone and the electrical voices are in F minor. And what better technology to use to prove that than their technology? So I sent these signals, different ones, into a BPM tester. And the key here on this one was F minor, and they all tested F minor. This one was at 99, and the pulses were A minor at 104. So what better technology to use than their technology to prove this with? So it's being pulsed at A minor, and the key is F minor, the voices. That's why it's sing-songy but monotone at the same time. Follows a beat. It's percussive. Because like I showed you in the last video, it's pulse, vibration, sound. Pulse, vibration, sound. That's how it works. These audio people and Adam Savages of the world are absolute and total hack jobs. And that's why I've gotten to where I'm at with this in this present year. Is because I never listened to anyone about anything. And I would try. I would listen to it. But 99.9% of people out there are just making claims about this with either zero evidence or absolutely flimsy nothing evidence. They're just telling you stuff. So there was never anything for me to go, wow, this guy really has something here. Most of it is just theory. And when I can, I always find it best to use recordings that I had nothing to do with. I will listen to something out there and go, dude, how did they miss that? Like this loud sound will be there, or voice or something, and these audio experts it'll go right past them. Like how did you not hear that? It's like a hunter out in the woods and this giant 12-point buck walks right by them and they're still looking around, you know, like Elmer Fudd style. It's just crazy to me. So let's check out something that was on the web and was very popular, and even Mr. Ballen did a video on it. I'll give you the lowdown on what happened with this guy. The story is that the power had been out for a long time and it had been raining and storming in this guy's city, down in Texas. So he worked midnights, and they called him in anyway to make sure that there was no looting. He was called in to just sit in the store. So while he's in there, he pulls out his phone and starts what they called vlogging, making a video. So he's sitting there talking, and all of a sudden there are these strange like bangs and shit going on. And he's looking around trying to figure out what is going on. And then eventually he just splits. He walks out the door and waits, and then shows his boss the next day when she shows up. You know, he's freaking out. I'm going to play you the audio in a minute. What this does is it's awesome because A, it's not my audio. B, it proves that these signals are coming through the power grid, and they're everywhere. But they're even coming through the power grid, and this is fact, when the power is off. And that's truth. When the power is out completely, your wiring and the power grid is still being used as an antenna and a transmitter for this stuff, a carrier. It is riding on this stuff parasitically, just like the Russian woodpecker did. Here is his original audio, and I'm going to play it for you and then stop it at a couple parts and show you a couple things. Let's check it out.
So I went outside to go check, and our street was flooded. And in front of his...
That's the first noise he hears. He's talking, he stops.
And in front of his...
But pay attention. After this noise, he's looking around, try to figure out what's going on. And you're going to see right here this swelling. Swelling of noise here, swelling of noise here, swelling of noise here. There's other swelling. Check it out. Hear that? The only pain in the ass with this video is the creepy, sinister audio that the poster put in the background. Not the original poster, the guy that made the video, but the people that put it up put this crappy sound effects in the background, and I have to work around it. And it's just, you know, keyboards and stuff, but that is an actual surge of noise in the actual audio. Let's go through it. Hear that? It doesn't even sound natural. I'm sure it would scare the crap out of you if you were by yourself in a dark place. Those are three beats. This is percussive. V2K and noise weapons are just percussion. Think about it as a percussion instrument. Pulse, noise. Pulse, noise. They're beats. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's just a beat. Those sound effects are so annoying.
You hear that?
Hear that noise right there? We'll get to that later.
Something is moving around in the cooler.
That's important. I'm trying to get a version without this crappy sound effect shit. I just wanted to play the original, and this proves that audio analysts and people just aren't worth their weight in salt, and they're full of shit. So what's really in the audio? Let's play the first part right here.
So I went outside to go check, and our street was flooded. And in front of that,
So here's the first noise that happens. And I've adjusted it to show you what's really there. Okay? And he stops dead. Starts looking around right there.
in front of his
Oh, listen to that. It's actually, the banging is percussive and there's an electronic voice within it. Listen. So let me loop that right here like this.
in front of his in front of his in front of his in front of his.
Okay? And he starts looking around. He's looking around scared. And then right here, ooh, something happens. Right when I showed you in the first video, that first swell of noise that's right there. Check this out. Okay, it's a female voice in an empty shop in the dark that says, that guy heard this. That guy heard this. Check this out. It says, that guy heard this one, but the one is down here, and it's very low and very hard to hear. But if you put on headphones, don't use your phone, put on headphones or use speakers, and you should be able to hear it. It says, that guy heard this one. That guy heard this one. It's indisputable. So, what, ghosts are doing that? Demons, boogeymen, ghoulies? The ghoulies are in the dark, and once they got them looking around, they're like, yeah, that guy heard this one. Come on, man. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Alright, that's another sound that I've adjusted to show you what's really there. It's a voice. That's a voice. It's an electronic voice. Let's keep going. Those are voices right there as well. I'll loop that for a second, but we won't dwell on it. But here is important. He says, do you hear that?
You hear that?
You hear that? But right before it, there's a voice that says, who's this other guy? Quickly it says, who's this other guy? Who's this other guy? And their annoying fucking sound effects are fucking with it, but keep moving. That is the same female voice that said he heard that one and who's this other guy. I'm gonna play it. Loop it. And that is in the actual audio of his file. I just need a version without this stupid background shit. So, come on, man. These are not ghosts. These are sound weapons. Alright, here we go. Moving on.
Something is moving around in the cooler.
There are voices through this whole thing. But here's another one here. So, but, you know, There's certain ones that are better than the others.
Something is moving around in the cooler.
Okay, that's another noise that he heard, banging, right? Banging. And then this one really freaks him out. Now let's listen to what it really is after I've adjusted the frequencies. It's a voice. It's the same guy. Hear it? It's the same guy. It's the same guy. So that was a bang. A bang. And it's not a bang anymore. It is a voice that sounds like it's coming through a CB that says it's the same guy. So what anybody says is bullshit. It's bullshit. And they don't hear any of this stuff. They don't hear it and go, oh, that sounds weird, or that sounds unnatural, I should look into this. They just accept it, and stuff gets right past them. Because these voices did not take much to bring up. Okay, now right here, it's the end of the audio, and these are all voices, the whole thing. Choppy, pulsed voices. These are pulsed. Every sound weapon uses pulses. Noise, pulse. These are all pulse. Check them out. It says you lied to me. Because it's never positive, it's always negative. It is always negative sound. If you don't know about this stuff, go check out my older videos and it'll get deeper into it. This whole thing is full of evidence that these are sound weapons, not some ghost or ghoulie or someone even breaking in. But could you imagine if you were home and you heard this, you would go running out saying that somebody was in your house, which happens all the time now. Look it up. All the time. Guy hears the bang. Let's go back to this, which I adjusted. It's not a bang anymore. It's an electronic voice. They wanted it to sound like a bang. And then the female voice, which is not really a female, it's a computer. She says that guy heard this one. It's just amazing. People don't know about this. They keep it hidden. You know, it's not the Lucille Ball's days anymore, and now people don't know about it, and they are getting fooled by it left and right. Okay, this is one of my ceiling lights in a hallway when the power went out. Just wanted to show you this and prove what I was talking about. The power was completely out. Out. No power on in the house. Then suddenly it started pulsing along with the signal that I was recording. Check it out. You can see that it's not shutting off. It's not somebody taking the light switch and turning it on and off. It's dimming and pulsing right along with the recording I was making. It appears that the lights are following the pulses and not the electricity. Ha, something's wrong here. See that? It's percussive. It's following syllables. Here's the same thing happening in my living room. Same day at the same time. I was just documenting everything. Bolshevik takeover. Blink a few times if you're a ghost.
or a demon.
So this stuff is riding on the power grid. Even when the power is off, these signals are coming through all the time. Think about how easy it was to talk about this 40 years ago, to applause, and you can't even mention it now without the media coming after you. It's insane. All right, look out for Charlie.